Hey, Gigi.
Hello. As you can see this morning on Saturday Hangover, we're in morning.
You are in morning this morning. Episode 39, week 14, aka Rivalry Week. And we just gotta, we should have covered her up with tape.
Yeah, we should have.
I just gonna go right to the start. We gotta go. I don't know if that was necessary.
Okay, fine. A sportsmanlike conduct.
Okay. Do we need to start over? What is going on with you today, girl? What's going on? Listen, we'll rip it off, okay? We are the game, the biggest rivalry in sports is the Ohio State versus Michigan. Ohio State is ranked number 2. Michigan is unranked, having an awful season.
They're not having an awful season.
Michigan's having an awful season for Michigan, and they win the game yesterday, 13-10.
Fourth year in a row.
Really quick. The rivalry started in 1897. The record is, for people who don't know, the record is 62-51-6 with Michigan leading. And the longest streak of winning is 9 in a row, and it happened in 1901 to 1909 by Michigan. Are we going to have the most recent streak was 8 years. Ohio State won 8 years in a row. Michigan has now won 4 years in a row. And now's not the time for an apology, but I feel bad for those 8 years a little bit. Because how do you do that for 8 years? I can't do this for 8 years.
I've only done it for 4, and I'm done. I'm done.
Real talk, 2 is my limit.
It's not the first time I've lived through this.
2 is my limit.
John Cooper, 2-10-1.
I don't know John Cooper. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because I know it's pain point. I don't want to talk about it, but we have to be professionals and talk about it. Caleb Downs, monster game. Defense, monster game. Will Howard in offense did not have their best game. I'm going to go, and I already told you yesterday how I ranked it. Number 1 to blame, and I mean by a long shot, is Ryan Day. I don't know how you don't know how to coach this team by now. I don't understand that you beat this team before when you're an offensive coordinator. You beat it as your first year as a head coach. Secondly, I'm going to go to the one and only Chip Kelly. I don't know why they kept running the call up the middle. Now, I'm only blaming Chip because I'm assuming he called the play. Did Ryan override it? Did Chip call something stupid and Ryan didn't override it? Doesn't matter. That's why Ryan's number 1 for me. There were self-inflicted wounds on both sides. Michigan played good. Ohio State played flat. And that is why we got the outcome of the game. And that's all I got to say. What do you got?
They were scared to play. Ryan Day wasn't playing to win. Ryan Day was playing not to lose.
I disagree.
I don't.
I disagree.
There was no excitement in that game.
No, if he was playing,
let's take a risk. There was no, let us play like we played last week.
There was no let us play like we played. That's what I was about to say. You don't have to play to win or to lose when you're number 2 and you have the number 1 defense in red zone. You got the number 1 defense in this and that. You got the number 1 offense in red zone. You have all of the parts and you have all of the things. There was no reason for that team to lose to that Michigan team. There's absolutely no reason. Michigan didn't play lights out. Michigan didn't pull out anything that you did not know Michigan has been doing for years. We talk about it on the thing. We talked about it last week when we talked about how Michigan looked against Northwestern. Michigan always has defense. Always, always, always. And Michigan always has a run game. And they said it first quarter. We said it first quarter. Why do you keep running up the middle? Why are you going to the side? What works? And that's why I'm not even mad at Will Howard with the 2 interceptions, because he was doing what was working. Unfortunately, he was doing it from the opposite end zone and under pressure on 3rd down. But there was a lot of times that they could have got out of the hole. And that's all I want to say.
Moving on.
Let's move on. We should have known it was going to be some bull. Because we watched Thursday's game on Thanksgiving. Well, boo to Thanksgiving. On National Mourning Day.
Let's keep it on.
No, don't you do that.
Don't you do on that. Football. The fans want to know.
Thursday is National Mourning Day. That's a real thing. Cut it out. Cut it out. Don't be a colonizer. Unranked Memphis upsets number 17 Tulane. Now we have to say they had the same record. They were both 9-2 going into that game. Memphis looked great. Tulane looked great. It was a battle, right? What was the score?
I don't know.
You do. You spent all day writing it down. You don't have the score right here?
I'm
24
sorry.
to 34.
There it was.
It was a great game, but it's interesting because whenever there's a problem with the 12-man playoff seeding, what are we gonna do if Tulane comes up, and because Tulane's ranked really low, but if they come up and then they win, conversation's over. You don't have to have a conversation.
Not anymore.
What if Washington State? Conversation was over that quick, right?
Not anymore.
Didn't have to worry about it, but we should have known that it was gonna be a bull shirt type of weekend. Going to Friday, Oklahoma State, who was 3-8 overall, 0-8 in the Big 12, was playing number 25 Colorado. Colorado's last game at home. It was a big deal. Deion and the boys. It was very sweet. He got a little bit emotional. Colorado played lights out. Lights out. Colorado played lights out.
Oh, yes, they did. It was senior week, and the boys walked out on the field.
I just said that.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry. I wasn't listening.
She like the kids. It's like with the iPad. Put the iPad away, and we're gonna have to focus. We gotta get you focused.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was senior day,
and senior day, and Deion walked out with his boys, of course. Last time on the field, very emotional. And the thing I liked, he walked out with Jimmy Horn, whose father, of course, is incarcerated. But,
of course, but yeah.
And not of course, there's no course into it.
But as public knowledge, is incarcerated.
It was. He didn't leave him out.
Yeah.
He said, "I'll walk across his."
Yeah, Jimmy Horn. They said the headline said that Jimmy Horn asked him to walk. It just says
great. It was just.
Let's take a moment though.
It was just great.
Game was great. Colorado wins 52-0. I don't know how Mike Gundy's gonna keep his job. Now we know the outcome now, but at the time on Friday, if out of BYU, Arizona State, and Iowa State, if two of them would have lost, Colorado would have had a chance in the Big 12 championship. As we know, that didn't happen. Totally fine. But also, I would like to say Oklahoma was projected to be number 3 in the Big 12 at the beginning of this season.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
I don't know what happened. They had a big win early on too. We watched that game. It went to 3 overtimes. It was like week 1 or week 2.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
But maybe it wasn't supposed to be a tough win. Anyways, I like to take a moment and talk about Deion Sanders and the progress he has made. I know it's everywhere. I know everybody's talking about it. But it cannot be stressed enough how. We see these coaches come in first year, and we see what happens. And we see that I'm always like, you got to give them. I know they paid a lot of money. I know they come with a great resume, but it's like starting a new job. The first year is the toughest. And heck, some of these people are there for how many years and ain't got it down, right? And so to see him come in after a 1-11 season, and then they go 4-8 last year. And then for them to go 10, right?
What?
Record? No, 10-3, 10-2.
They were 8-3. Now they're 9-3.
9-3 is incredible. It go into a bowl game.
Okay.
And you ask me, has the Heisman Trophy winner on the team in Travis Hunter, number 12. They play. Where was this a week ago though? Against Kansas.
Don't ask that question because I can say the same thing.
Okay.
Well, was this against Ohio?
You said you don't want to keep bringing it up.
I sure did.
And you want to keep bringing it up.
Why I did. That's right.
Okay. The other big game we watched on Friday, which again, I want to be very clear. It is rivalry week. And just because your team may not have a legendary rivalry or they don't play this week, or somebody is just an amazing team, this week has a different energy. Do you agree?
Yep, always. It always does. I was trying to get who was playing the rivalry, but I guess not.
The whole weekend was the rivalry, which brings me to Georgia Tech versus Georgia. Georgia Tech is 7-4. They're at number 7 Georgia, who's 9-2. Georgia gets shut out the first half.
That was amazing.
No points.
That was.
What did we say before the game? Who's showing up? The Georgia who came in second half against Alabama, or the other Georgia? That's
the Georgia that showed up the second half.
The Georgia that showed up second half.
That was the Georgia we were looking for.
Georgia was down 17-0. Fourth quarter, fans start leaving. They start leaving. They're leaving the game. They're like, Georgia's not going to win it. I told Georgia Tech they should have just kicked at 4th and 1, and they didn't. They have a big fumble. Georgia recovers it. They go into 8 overtimes. 8 overtimes. The record's 9. They tie for second. There's somebody else won 8 overtimes. 8 overtimes, and was this the last minute one? No, that was the last week with the crazy drop ball. This one they just didn't get it. They got stopped because it goes to the 2-point conversion.
Right.
Crazy games. That was Friday. We watched a little Oregon State versus Boise. The funny part of that one was Oregon State forced a fumble against Ashton Genty of Boise, and the ref was down there in the pile.
I told them, why they just put the ref in? They should have threw a flag. Too many men on the field. I was counting the ref.
He was like WWE.
I said, what was she doing in the flag?
What about the ref who was blocking for Georgia Tech or Georgia? Remember, he looked like he was blocking away. What is up with these officials?
He got in the way. The guy's running. The official tries to jump out of his way, turns his back, and the players. He stopped the player from running. They tackled the player.
Weekend was just absolutely
crazy.
I wanted you to say it. I wanted you to say it.
It was that kind of a weekend.
It's rivalry weekend. It's rivalry week. We should have expected it. We should have expected the unexpected.
It was.
Vandy had started off leading Tennessee 7-17 at the first quarter. Now we know that means nothing. A lot of teams start slow. Of course, Tennessee pulls it out. Speaking of upsets, number 6 Miami loses to your boy at Syracuse.
You know what, folks? I was punished. I was punished because they looked at me and said, "This is what you get for talking about Kyle McCord."
Kyle McCord won yesterday.
Against Cam Ward.
He won yesterday, and Ohio State did not. The day we were supposed to. Jesus Christ.
And I'm thinking, and I didn't watch the game, I ain't gonna lie. I think at the last maybe minute or so, maybe 5 minutes. We saw the last touchdown.
Well, and then, I don't know about you, but I went out. I blacked out.
Yeah,
I blacked out middle of the day. I blacked out.
Anyway,
I went straight to the bourbon at 10 a.m. So it was not. I didn't get to see as much as I seen enough.
We seen enough.
I would love to see more, but it was. I was just sick. I was just sick. 38-42.
Yeah.
Where was the defense? We know Miami don't got defense. We knew this. Who been saying it?
Not. Okay. Defense don't always make a difference.
They don't have it though. So you're right. Defense don't always make a difference. Offense got to show up too, but the offense looked like it showed up.
Ward was my boy.
No, not today.
They had to leave for a minute and
not today.
Boom, boom, bye.
And so again, with that, what
defense?
Oh well, with that, Clemson gets into the ACC. Syracuse and the coach for Syracuse, Fran Brown, former defensive coordinator for Georgia, said that. He said, "Debo Sweeney, I got you in. You're welcome, baby." Something along those lines. That's not a direct quote, but he said something along those lines.
Because I said, didn't Clemson lose? Oh, I know.
Clemson lost. Glad you brought that
up. So that moves them up because of Miami will drop.
You knocked Miami out.
Oh,
you knocked Miami out. It was a race. Clemson lost and still gets to go to the ACC championship. Yep. They lost. Number 12 Clemson loses to number 15 South Carolina in Death Valley. Death Valley again. Number 1.
Death Valley number 2.
Who should we call number 1? Clemson or LSU? Maybe whoever's. Let's do number 1.
Penn State.
Penn State is Happy Valley.
Happy Valley.
It's the opposite. Speaking of Penn State.
Oh, God.
Penn State played Maryland. They were up to Maryland, I think 42 to something.
Something like that.
And maybe 42 to 7. And, no, maybe it was 37 to 7.
Whatever.
And it was 40 seconds left.
Yeah.
Penn State scores a touchdown.
I know. That was ugly.
Well, you know what he said. and I'm not his. I don't dislike him, but I'm not his biggest fan either. He said when you put the 3s and the 4s in, meaning 3rd string, 4th string, they want to play football.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can't blame them.
Oh, yeah.
But guess who I do want to talk about and I want to blame?
Oh dear.
Indiana beat Purdue 66-0 yesterday. Number 9 or 10, Miami, Indiana, wherever they ended up, beat Purdue 66-0 yesterday. And we seen the score and you said, man, they had to put in the 3rd string by then. And I said, oh, they had to. I go to look at Indiana's, now I don't know they starting people, but I know the starting quarterback. And you know, if they put another quarterback in, there's another name under the box score on ESPN. There was no other quarterback's name.
Obviously, he played.
Now, I'm not saying he threw, which is fine. You can hand off. But why you couldn't have your 2nd or 3rd string hand off? 66-0 to a 1-11 Purdue, or 1-10 at the time Purdue.
They still 1-10.
They 1-11 now. 1-10 Purdue, and you couldn't put in your backups.
And being that this is, of course, my last week, I like to say to little Purdue fans, y'all do not despair. We have seen teams come up all this year and go down. We have seen teams in the past year.
Well, you mean year over year? Season's over.
Season's over. But
regular season's over. We're not going nowhere. Don't worry, y'all. We still gonna be here.
I might. But anyway, ESPN might call me up anytime. I don't know. But anyway, and I was thinking about that when you said 66. I went, can you imagine every week to come out
and lose
and lose? But you're still out there.
Couldn't do it.
We couldn't even take this. Ohio State to us for the 4th year in a row.
Couldn't do it. And I couldn't take the Oregon loss. That's still pissing me off. I still ain't went back and looked at what that whole 2-second thing. I gotta wait till the season's over. I gotta wait till it's February because I can't go back. I can't go back.
Y'all did it. Y'all did.
I don't know how people stay fans.
But Hey,
you want to speak?
Do you think Ohio State has been up there number 1 forever, ever?
Yes,
no.
they have.
No, they have not, because they were unranked. I think was they unranked? Remember talking about John Cooper?
Okay, I don't know John Cooper,
but I do. He was there with me.
Okay, that's before my time. But let me tell you something that's worse than maybe being a Purdue fan, where maybe you don't get used to winning. And I know what it's like, because back when I used to watch NFL, I was a Cleveland Browns fan. That's all I got to say.
Oh, Lord.
That's all I got to say. I get that. That's why Ohio State is my savior. But I digress. Can you imagine being a Florida State fan?
Oh, God, because they was number...
You go undefeated.
Yep.
Last year. Undefeated. Shunned in the national playoffs, fine. Got blown out in the bowl game, fine. Undefeated season to go in 2-10. I think they ended up. I ain't gonna talk about it no more.
Purdue, just keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind. Things change. I mean, look at little Colorado fans.
Yes.
They were 1-11.
Yeah.
They were 4-8, which was great for them. Which was great. Nobody expects a turnaround, a complete 180, and now they go into a bowl game. It happens. And with that, Purdue fired the head coach.
That wasn't the only one that got fired, though, was it?
No.
Wasn't there another one?
Yeah, you told me.
North Carolina.
Mac Brown, the prodigal son. How do you say prodigal? Prodigal son. I think he played for North Carolina. He was a head coach there. He had great success. I think he went on to like a big program like Texas and something else. He comes back 2-3 years ago. I remember the first game. I watched it, I believe, or it was the first game they played South Carolina since he'd been back. They hadn't beat South Carolina forever. They win. It was a big deal. Everybody was all excited. Had some decent success. Loses Drake May.
What you
always
better
do
than
this.
Me. You're better.
Lincoln Riley was Duke. Drake May was North Carolina. I had a little saying to keep me remember, but now I can't remember what my saying was. And this year, just awful. And he loses yesterday against South Carolina.
I can't remember who they played.
It was unranked.
No, not South Carolina, darling. They were.
It was rivalry week. It should have been.
Yeah, but South Carolina played Clemson.
I'm sorry, not South Carolina. Did they play Arkansas?
I don't have my iPad in front of me, so I don't know.
Well, for good reason. You was acting up. Anyways, they're not going to let him coach the bowl game.
That's
Which
sad.
then it got me to thinking,
That was sad.
the season wasn't that big of a bust if he got to a bowl game. Because he always gets to the bowl games, though.
Hey, but they had record being the bowl games.
He always gets to the bowl games.
That's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he does. Mac Brown's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He always gets to the bowl games. He doesn't always win them, but he gets there. But, I mean, to think that I still got us to a bowl game, but you know what? The expectations got to go up, right? People want to win. People want to beat. Now that you got this expanded playoff championship and anybody can get, it's not just, for the quote-unquote football elite.
Right.
You got to get there. People, that's just the expectation. So, I thought that was kind of shady, though. Why you can't coach the bowl game?
It's crazy. But you know how that goes.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't do nothing for us.
North Carolina State.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I knew it was this in-state thing. Yeah. Speaking of, I want to bring up a tradition around football that, not just yesterday, we've been on the piss end off of before, and I'm sure we've done it before. I'm sure when I say we, I mean at Ohio State.
I don't remember, but
North Carolina State, North Carolina game, there was a brawl because North Carolina State was trying to plant the flag on the North Carolina logo. Florida and Florida State, same thing. Game was at Florida State. Florida wins. They're trying to plant the flag. Coach Norvell for Florida State is in Napier's face. Don't let them plant that flag. They better not plant that flag. He ends up ripping the flag and throwing it. Pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Pissed. Shunned the handshake at first, too, I heard. The video I seen. And then went over to say that to Napier in the middle of the field. And then, of course, there was a brawl and a melee at Ohio State, Michigan. Pepper spray was used.
Whoa.
I like the violence. I don't care.
What? No! There's no violence in football.
Football is a violent sport.
Oh my God.
You see what my cup says? Self-care club. I care about myself. I like the violence because that means you were passionate about it. You really wanted to win, especially during rivalry week.
Right.
Now, do I think it's necessary during the game and such? No. But that's a sign of disrespect. And these are college, we call them college kids sometimes. These are grown men. I'm a grown woman. I'm not having you disrespect my ish. You're not coming up in my house with your dirty shoes and disrespecting. But I want to talk about why it's stupid. Stop leaving the flag out there. At halftime, flag should be taken out. Should be taken out. It's a silly tradition. It's unnecessary. You won the game. You got the bragging rights. You're on a field cheering. Mm-hmm. Your fans are probably there too because usually rivalries are close by.
Right.
Why do you got to plant the flag? Did they do that back in your day?
No.
In the 1900s?
Oh. No, they did not.
Oh, you remember Baker Mayfield trying to plant that flag at
I
Ohio
don't
State?
remember that.
Oh, I do. I don't like Baker Mayfield to this day because of that. Oh, I remember. Now, the only thing I can't remember is if Ohio State did it the year before.
I don't know. I cannot
remember.
And
that's why I don't want to talk too much trash. But, so I talked about planting flags. We talked about late scores. We talked about running the score up. And it's always been a part of the game. It's just kind of a little bit of the nasty part. And if you are on the receiving end, you see it. Yeah. But when you're not, you don't see it. Because like I said, I'm sure Ohio State's done it a bunch of times. I just never thought twice about it because, it's like, oh, your team won. So that's all I got on the games. And we didn't have our show Tuesday, but I think...
Oh, sorry.
We got to get her tested for like ADHD, y'all. Like seriously, like at this big,
I
her
know
big
that
age.
Was hanging off my
there was a few shakeups, but you know what? In a few weeks, we'll have Selection Sunday, and we'll of course be here to talk about that.
And more coaches let go.
And yeah, I'm sure a lot more people are going to get fired, and that's just the way it is. Some people I do feel bad for. Yeah. Some people I don't. I feel bad. I don't know the Purdue coach like that. I do feel bad for Mac Brown, but you know what? He was gone for like 6 years. He should stay retired. But let's talk about it. Conference championship games are set. I don't know if we're necessarily looking forward to them because you get 7 or whatever games, and it is what it is. As far as the bigger ones, I don't know. We may catch the MAC in the Sun Belt. That could be interesting.
Don't know. I don't have my phone in front of me. I don't know. You took my...
Y'all don't let her fool you. I've been waiting 2 hours to film because she been back there. I started filming.
I was trying to book a flight
She's
to
writing down
to Ohio.
Don't tell people all your business now. Somebody gonna internet stalk you. They gonna what is it called? SWAT you. You gotta be careful what you put out on the internet. Okay, Mountain West, number 22 UNLV versus number 11 Boise State. This is where they stand right now. I know Tuesday's coming. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. AAC. AAC is number 17 Tulane versus Army. Big 12, number 18 Iowa State versus number 16 Arizona State. That should be a good one. SEC is a rematch. Number 7 Georgia versus number 3 Texas. Big 10, number 4 Penn State versus number 1 Oregon. I don't think that's going to be a good game. ACC, number 12 Clemson. I said it.
Okay.
I said it.
She jinxed us.
Number 12 Clemson versus number 9 SMU, which that's going to be a weird one. I don't know. Clemson and SMU.
Miami got knocked out with Clemson. Where's Miami?
I just told you that.
Yeah, we sure did. He said that, yeah.
Well, Gee, that's all I got. I want to go, keep crying. Well, I'm not crying. F that. I'm tough. I see y'all when I see y'all. We can still win a national championship.
Hey.
We can still win it. That's the only day Ryan Day saves his job. You asked me. There, I said it. I said it.
Don't know.
I'm Kelly, like the color.
I'm Gee, like the butter.
And this is Saturday Hangover. Like, subscribe, comment. If your team lost too, please tell us what you do because we don't know what to do.
We do. We know what to do.
No, we don't.
We commiserate.
Stop it.
We commiserate with all the fans.
But we're gonna see y'all on Tuesday. Hopefully we won't miss this time. But if we do, forgive us. We'll love y'all. See y'all later.
Boom. I'm out.